Thank you for tuning into IFES on Elections. I'm Laura Osio. Earlier this month, the International Criminal Court authorized an investigation into the alleged abuses committed following the November 2010 presidential election in Cote d'Ivoire. This is the seventh investigation of this type and the first in a state that is not a signatory to the ICC's founding treaty. Almami Cyllah, Regional Director for Africa, tells us how this investigation might impact Cote d'Ivoire and the rest of Africa. Almami, can you tell us what happened in Cote d'Ivoire following the November 2010 presidential election?
Yes, the November 2010 elections in Cote d'Ivoire actually was one of those difficult ones for Africa because the incumbent president, Mr. Laurent Gbagbo, refused to accept the results of the elections announced by the Electoral Commission. Then it became a difficulty because the UN was given the mandate to certify those elections. The UN certified the elections to say the opponent won, but then the Supreme Court of Cote d'Ivoire reviewed the results of the elections and declared Gbagbo won. So that brought a lot of difficulty. I mean, the UN supporting the opposition and the Electoral Commission supporting the opposition, but the Supreme Court declared that the incumbent president won. And so that led to a lot of fight where many people lost their lives. Many people had to flee the country and are refugees. Some are still refugees. So it became difficult until the incumbent president was later run out of office and arrested. And then the guy who was declared winner was put as president, assuming the position sometime in April.
So now the ICC has announced that it will investigate alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity following this election. What is the process of investigation?
Well, I think the process of investigation, I think the ICC is trying to prove that, or trying to show or find out, or making sure that crimes against humanity are investigated and charges against those who may be found guilty or who may have the greatest burden of responsibility in the abuse against human rights in those countries. So I think that is the process they want to use, and I'm just hoping that the process will take its course, and that those who are found guilty or those who are found to be responsible for some serious human rights violations, that charges are brought to them. We will see what the African Union also will decide to do, because they have been coming out quite a bit concerned about the ICC and what the ICC is doing, particularly to African leaders, and bringing charges more. So I think the process is going to take its course, but it's a wait and see. I think that is what we will say for now.
How much impact could these investigations have?
I think it will have a lot of impact. The question now comes, are there going to be sacred cows? If there are going to be sacred cows, then there will be serious doubt about the investigations. But if the investigations are open, and particularly if the current government, if members of that government, or in fact supporters of that government are found, are they going to be prosecuted, or are charges going to be brought against them? That is the wait and see that people that would like to observe and see how that goes. But if they are not, and it's just one-sided, then again we fall into the situation where we think politics trumps justice in Africa.
This is the first time that the ICC will be investigating a country that is not a signatory, although it has accepted jurisdiction. What does this mean?
Well, I think it means that the government in place wants to actually show that they are part of the international community. They want to be judged on a single standard, and I hope they want to be judged on a single standard. I am one of those who is quite concerned when African leaders or even people in the international community begin to give a lesser standard to Africans when it gets to human rights. It's of major concern. For this, I would hope that the government is really serious about wanting to be judged on a single standard, and that is respect for human rights, respect for women's rights, respect for children's rights. I mean, the total rights and the various international covenants on civil and political rights are to be respected and to be judged on that standard, in line with all other countries.
Thank you, Almami. For more IFES on elections, please visit ifes.org.